Welcome to Conversations from the Edge of Consciousness. I'm your host, Kristine Madera. For me, and possibly for you, the inner world of consciousness has always been much more real and way more fun than the so-called real material world. Growing up, I thought I was alone in this, but I'm not. There are a lot of us, and far too many have no one to talk to who shares this experience. I've been lucky to cultivate a community of friends who love to talk about the energies, ideas, and vibrations that are pushing the edges of our own consciousness, as well as our collective consciousness. In Conversations from the Edge, we share our conversations with you. Welcome to Conversations from the Edge. This is your host, Kristine Madera, and we're here today with Joshua Bloom. So Joshua is the #1 best-selling author of The Ultimate Answer is Inside. He's also the host of an innovative internet TV show called Emotionally Free TV and an internationally acclaimed authority on quantum transformation. Joshua developed a modality called quantum energy transformation, which is an innovative fusion of science and spirituality that serves as a roadmap to release hard-to-treat ailments such as fibromyalgia, pain, anxiety, depression, allergies, eczema, and more, and not just by relieving symptoms, but by creating permanent positive change and personal transformation. This modality also helps empaths, intuitives, energy workers, and others to access the quantum field and its landscape of possibility to align them to their spiritual purpose and to help them fully embody their life force. So welcome, Joshua. It's wonderful to have you here. I'm very excited.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
All right. So you have just an extraordinary body of work, and I highly recommend your book to anybody that really wants to dive deep into this. But I wanted to get started today by really asking you about the difference between the two models of reality that we have operating now, these larger models. So one is the Newtonian model and one is the quantum model. And so can you explain what these two are and the distinction between them?
Absolutely. So when we think about the Newtonian model, we look at what we're currently experiencing now in what we might call the medical model or the therapy model. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that in the therapy model, for example, people are looking to get an understanding of whatever the issues are. So when we look at therapy, its goal is very different than what it would be in quantum. But in therapy, the idea is that you want to get to understand more about whatever the problem is. So if you have depression, or if you have anxiety, or if you have some kind of an emotional issue, then what happens is that the idea is that you're going to understand more about it, and by understanding more about it and talking about it, you're going to feel better, and the hope is that you resolve the issues using techniques. The problem with that model is that it's all about what you can access through talking. You know, when we were 0 or 1 years old or 2 years old or 3 years old, I don't remember any of those times myself.
No, me either.
But you know, there are a lot of us that have traumas at that age. Mm-hmm. We didn't have language at that age. Mm-hmm. So when we look at it from that point of view, it's like, oh, so you could talk all day long, but not actually get to that understanding of what happened when I didn't have language, or the client didn't have language, right? So that's a really big distinction between the two models, because when we talk about the quantum model, we're talking about energy stored at the cellular level of the body, that we're actually moving that energy to create a transformation. So because we're dealing with the physical experience of the energy itself in the body, you're not dealing with the analytical thoughts of what you might talk about. So the talking thing works well for understanding, but not for resolving.
Yes, totally true. I was a hypnotherapist, and it's absolutely true. You can talk, and it really only gets you to what my teacher would say, that why is the booby prize, because you can know why, and then you know why, but it's still not resolved.
Yeah. It's a struggle, too, because we reach to know why, and we want to know why and why and why, but then we get stuck in it, and it doesn't allow us to move forward very gracefully. And lots of times we get triggered. I remember many years ago I went to counseling myself, and the therapist triggered me so badly that I was so emotionally upset for 2 days.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to resolve it. And eventually it went down, and it wasn't as bad the next day and wasn't as bad the next day. But I was like, wow, I don't want to go do that again. I needed a resolution, or something that was going to help me deal with what all that stuff was that came up and made me feel so terrible. And I realized that later in life that in the quantum model, we can release it. We could actually let that energy go, and then you're not like plagued by it. I mean, it was really, really debilitating to experience that heavy kind of yucky energy and without any resolve. So basically, there was nothing that I could do other than deal with it.
Yeah, because I find that a lot of people, when you find out the why becomes part of the story, and then you just have a longer story. But it's still your story, and it's a story in at your cellular level as well. And in the quantum, you let go of the whole story. It's not that it ceased to exist. It's just it no longer is a story that you need to tell. It's just something that is freed from your cellular energy. So how does it work in the quantum? Because we hear a lot about quantum stuff, but I think people are really not sure how that works when it comes to releasing energy and actually making huge personal transformations.
Well, quantum means cellular, and the quantum is the study of possibility. So when you look at it from those two perspectives, we understand that we're going to be working at the cellular level of the body, which means that the information is stored in the tissues of our body. And you know what that feeling is when you feel that pain in the stomach or butterflies in the stomach that lets you know something is wrong or something doesn't feel quite right. We call that our intuition or our gut feeling. And that's really where we have our information stored cellularly in the body. Wherever it shows up in your body, that's where it's actually stored. So we can access that information basically by triggering it so that it comes up. And then we can say, where do you feel it in your body? And they say, well, I feel it in my chest, or I feel it in my stomach, or I feel it in my back. Oh, wow, my knee starts to hurt. Well, now you know where this stuff is stored. And it's kind of interesting because it can be stored anywhere in the body. And when we engage that energy to have it move, what we're doing is we're processing the energy. We're processing it so that it transforms. A lot of times we do something called suppression. That's when we don't have time. Oh, no, I'm too busy. I don't know what to do with it, so I'm going to go and do something else, and hopefully it will just go away. Kind of like I was doing, but not on purpose. I was trying to shake that feeling, And sometimes it's really difficult to shake that feeling. Yeah. And that's why releasing is so powerful. So in the quantum field, we connect to it. And when we connect to it, we then open up and have space, because you need space in order for movement to happen. And then we create the energy movement in the body to create a transformation. And that's how it works in the quantum field and how quantum energy transformation really works. It's simply the experience of attention and awareness and movement and allowing. And when it moves and when it processes, it's not there anymore, at least in the same way. It could have transformed, which means that it's still in the body, but now it's a different thing. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't act the same. It doesn't feel the same. It's all different. Or it actually releases and it leaves the body. And when it leaves the body, it's not there. You can't respond to it at all because it's gone. It's left your body. So energy that moves in the body is a powerful thing because always there's a transformation, and sometimes or many times there's a release. And when it releases or transforms, your way of looking at that particular event or issue or whatever it is that moved is no longer the same. It's different, and it allows you to grow and evolve. I like the word evolve because quantum is more of an evolutionary experience versus a linear kind of experience that we might experience in counseling or in the medical model, for example.
Right. And then one of the really key distinctions between this as well that I wanted to point out is that the therapy model or the linear model, the Newtonian model, utilizes the intellect. And the intellect, it's great for certain things. It has its place, but that the quantum works in the body and with innate body intelligence. And that's a big thing for that we're really beginning to understand how intelligent the body is, and that it's completely different kind of intelligence than our mental intelligence. And so from your perspective, what is body intelligence and how does it interact with the quantum field to create change?
Oh, I love that. I look at the body as having many brains. When we think about the brain being in our head, but we have a brain in our heart, we have a brain in many centers of our body have a brain that thinks. I like to call it whole body thinking. So that instead of it just being our intellect thinking, because that's, sometimes we're just in that linear way and all you get is intellect and you can think about things, you can ask a question to your intellect. It will provide you with an answer. I didn't say a good answer, but it will provide you with an answer.
Yes.
So when you only have intellect, you're playing with that with that experience of only mind thinking, which doesn't really always have a good resolution for you. So when we have whole body thinking, then we open up avenues of information that are different than just linear thinking. So we open up intuitive thinking, right? Intuitive thinking allows you to connect to yourself, and all of a sudden insights show up for you with information about that's new to you because it's not in your analytical thinking. It's coming from a different kind of thinking. And when the intuitive thinking comes in, then it goes to your intellect, and your intellect says, oh, wow, that's a new thought. That's a great idea. I'm going to use that. And the intellect says, oh, here's a good answer. And we get taken on a new journey. It's sort of like the difference between an open system and a closed system.
Yeah.
When you only have intellect, you have a closed system. You're not taking in any new information. You're just utilizing the information you already have. When you have an open system, you're inviting new information to come in, and you allow it to come in from many different sources, not just from the linear thinking, but, like I said, from whole body thinking. Imagine your whole body is contributing to your thinking. You can access your intellect, but your intellect isn't in charge anymore.
So in this accessing body intelligence and body wisdom, there was two aspects of that, or two things that can be in play in the body that is also an open and a closed system, right? So you've got the state of protection, the state of fear, the state of retraction, the state of denial and repression, and following your conditioning, which can also be an experience that you have in your body. And then you also have the more open system, the growth system, where you are able to be in that place of accessing new information and shifting and making changes. And can you explain a little bit about the difference between those? Because it's a powerful distinction. And once people understand it, it becomes easier to identify it in their own body system.
Oh, absolutely. When we're in protection, what it really means is you're in a place of at least a small amount of this fight or flight experience. So, you go and you miss the bus and you're like, oh crap, I missed the bus. It's that energy that's there. And then something else happens. Once you miss the bus, it doesn't go well after that.
No, everything goes downhill after that.
You can forget it, right? So once you keep, I thought that was so funny. I'm still laughing. So once you go through that experience of getting triggered one time and it just doesn't go so well, we attract a lot more of that.
Yeah.
And then we're in this protection. So then we go to work, and the copy machine isn't working, and then it's broken. We got to fix that, and we stay in this fight or flight. this fire energy that's in our body that makes us want to be on guard. And when you're always on guard, your blood physically leaves your stomach where your organs are, and it goes to your hands and your arms and your legs and your feet. And now you're on guard all day with your blood out of your stomach and into your arms, hands, and feet. And now you're ready to fight all day long. You see, but the body isn't meant to be in that position all the time. You know, it was meant for us when there were tigers and bears and other kinds of animals out there that we needed to run from in a moment and not die. And it worked. We were able to get triggered really easily, run into fight or flight, and step out of fight or flight once the issue had resolved, or the bear left, or the lion vanished, or whatever it was. Now in our life, the lions and bears are the little things that happen during the day, whether that's missing the bus or the car won't start or whatever it is that's pushing your buttons. And we don't leave fight or flight. Actually, Dr. Bruce Lipton, he says that almost all of us are in a sense of fight or flight all the time, which puts us in that protection state. And what he says about this is really powerful. If you're in protection, you can't heal or transform.
Right.
Nothing can change. So when I was at my worst, because I had some very difficult times with anxiety and fear, and when I was in that fearful place, I went to get help from other people because I didn't know what else to do. Like I could sit here and just really be awful and feel all this fear in my body, or I could do something about it. Right. So I went to do something about it. But I was scared of the things people were going to do to me. They're like, lay on this massage table. I'm like, okay. Now what? And now I'm going to do whatever. And I'm like, okay. But I'm not really with that, really? Are you going to do the wrong thing? What happens if you hurt me? What are you doing? Can you explain your process a little bit more? Because I'm a little scared. And, all these thoughts going through my head. So I was in this really major experience of protection, and I'm laying on the massage table, and I was done with the process, and nothing changed. And I said, wow, that was a lot of money out the window. And not only was it a lot of money, I don't feel any better. Actually, I feel worse because I've been in fight or flight for the last 2 hours while they did whatever this magic they were doing over me. And so I was really frustrated with that because I didn't know why it wasn't working. This guy that was doing this amazing healing work was supposed to be awesome, and yet nothing changed. And then I looked back at Dr. Bruce Lipton's work, and it says, wow, you're in protection. And when you're in protection, you can't heal. And I'm like, that's why I couldn't heal. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And I said, well, in order for someone to heal, you can't be in protection, but you need to be in growth. So I looked at Dr. Bruce Lipton's work about being in growth. Being in growth is this experience when all your cells are just dancing in the right ways. Everything is working perfectly. If a negative cell comes up, your body says, "Oh, I got you, cell. No big deal. I'm going to just whoop. You're gone," and a new cell comes in. It's beautiful. Everything is working perfectly. It's like your system is aligned. Your system is working at the cellular level so well because you're in growth and you're growing, and things can go well in so many different ways. Even if something not so good happens, your body says, I got you. We're in growth. We can take care of this.
You talk about too, and I don't want to dive really deep into this, as I think this is a whole conversation in and of itself, but you talk about how much of our creation, how much of how we create our lives and experience our life, that 95% of that comes from unconscious and only 5% comes from the conscious mind. So when you're in protection all of the time on that unconscious level, which is where most of us are in protection all this time, you're really not able to access the best of what's available to you. You're not allowing life to flow because you're constantly in a place of defensiveness and inability to be an open system to receive those things that would allow life to flow. And it kind of becomes a self-perpetuating stuckness that we're in. So it's not even just about healing things that you think might come up. It's really about being like learning to be in that posture of openness so that you can have a life that is flowing with that openness and that is allowing, the best to come to you rather than always being in a state of kind of defending yourself against that or refusing it.
Yeah, it's like when you're when you're in protection, you're in the land of habit.
Yeah.
So everything is on autopilot. You don't know what you're doing because habit is taking over. So when you think about it, you don't know how you hold your fork unless you think about it now, and you probably still don't know unless you put a fork in your hand. I mean, you don't know how. You do lots of little things. How do you tie your shoes? I mean, you probably don't really know how you tie your shoes unless you actually did it because it's automatic. How about drive your car? What do you do first when you get into the car? Most people don't know what they do because it's all automatic. So many of our automatic things are good, and many more of them are not. So we're now acting on autopilot in ways that don't serve us. And when we're in protection, we access that only. When we're in growth, we can gain more access to that 95% that you're unconscious with. We can gain more access to it if you're open and in growth and you allow it to be there. But most people are not in that place or know how to get into that place. That's why when I created Quantum Energy Transformation, I said the very first thing we've got to do is get someone in growth, because if they're not in growth, they're not going to heal anyway. So what's the point of any of the stuff we do?
Yeah, and you have a really deceptively simple, so counterintuitive to what we've been taught, because oftentimes we're taught to connect with our heart, connect with our third eye, connect with our crown chakra, connect with something on those upper octaves of chakra energy. But you talk about bringing us down to the root, or even to the bottoms of the feet, or below the feet to the earth star, as a way to access the whole quantum field. And it's phenomenal. So can you explain a little bit about how you got to this, and then how you help people get into their bodies? Because this has been just amazing to me, and it works so well, and it's so simple.
Well, it's all about fields. So when we talk about chakras in themselves are fields. Your aura is also a field of energy. And then, all your organs have fields, like your brain has its own field. Your hands actually have its own field. You have actually hand chakras. Most people don't talk about them, but they're there. And so we have lots of different fields around our body, around everything. And also there's the quantum field. They call it the quantum field because it's actually a field. So it's whatever is in the field of anything is affected by the field itself. So the power of that is to realize that our universe has a field, and our world has a field. Everything has a field around it. Now, once you connect to one field, you're instantly connected to all of the fields. So it's like travel is no time at all. It's all instant, because the field system is an instant system. Very different than other systems that, take a lot of time. There is no time in the quantum field. So in this case, all of the fields are instant. It happens right in this moment. Now, you said before about people accessing their higher chakras directly. And what the thing about that is we were given a body for a reason. If you didn't need a body, you wouldn't have one. That's the thing, right? So right now we are humans having an energy experience. And in that experience of being human, we get to move energy in our body because we were given bodies to do that. And the power of this is our system of fields. When we access, for example, the third eye field. Now, if I access the third eye field, I can have access to all the fields at once. But there's a problem with that. You don't have any ground. I look at it as plugging in the blender. So let's say we took that little prong off that blender, and now it's a two-prong blender instead of a three-prong blender. They went the grounding one, the thick one at the bottom of it, and we take that off, and it's not there anymore. You have a potential of getting shocked when you plug that in, because there's this extra little piece on that plug that grounds the blender, because we know that the blender has a high voltage in it, and, if you touch it the wrong way, ooh, that shocked me, that kind of thing. So the power of this is that when you go into your third eye chakra, or your crown chakra, or your higher chakras directly, you're not bringing yourself with you. You're going into the higher chakras, and you have the potential of being shocked. You see, spiritual energy is very powerful, and it's massive. There's a lot of it, and it happens all at once, instantly, as we just talked about. So it's like getting shocked. I know people, actually, this is a good example. If you look at people that are very intuitive, they might even call themselves psychic, and look at the ones that look older than they really are. And you'll see why that is because they go up to reach spirituality versus going down to reach spirituality. We age very quickly when we go into spiritual energy directly, and we look older. When we go the other way, we actually get to look younger, which is a very powerful thing. It has a motivation. Talk about the fountain of youth, right?
Yeah, totally. So how does this work then? Because can you explain how it works, and then maybe we can do a little experience with this with people, because it's so profound.
Sure. Well, it works very simply. When you put your awareness, instead of up at the higher chakras, and you bring your awareness at least down to the tailbone, which is the root chakra, or you can go lower than that. There's nothing wrong with going lower, just don't want to go higher. What you're doing is you're accessing the quantum field directly, and you're putting yourself into an experience with yourself where you are grounding. And I don't mean like yoga grounding, I mean deeper than yoga grounding, where you're getting into your body and you're feeling the energy of who you really are. And when you're there in that experience of you're present. And being present is a powerful thing, but no one really told me how to do that. A long time ago, I was reading a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I love the book because it said you need to be present. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. And I read through all the book, and I was like, where is the answer? Where does it tell me that I get to be how I get to be present? Yeah. And it wasn't in the book. And I was very disappointed, so I called a friend of mine, and I said, listen, I'm reading this book and called, The Power of Now. He says, yeah, I read it. I said, where in the book does it tell you how to be present and connected and in the moment? Because he's saying I should be all those things. And he laughed. And he said, it's not in the book. And I'm like, what am I reading the book for? So I was like, well, that's not great, because I want to learn to be present. So from that moment on, I had a mission. I had to learn, well, how do you get present? I don't know. And I learned that when you put your awareness at the base of your spine, you get into your authenticity, you get into your body, you get into the place of beingness. And from there, you're very open and you're very present, you're in the moment, and it's so simple.
Now, there's one other question I have about that, because when I was working with people as a hypnotherapist, and I would ask them to put their awareness, somewhere else besides their mind, because, we tend to keep our awareness in our heads and pay attention to our thoughts. But when I would ask them to put their awareness somewhere else, they were so used to keeping their awareness in their head and their thoughts that they would use their thought process to project their awareness somewhere else in the body, so that it was sort of this, the secondary system. So they would think about their knee, or they would think about the bottoms of their feet, but their awareness wasn't actually moving down into those areas. So how do you talk people into that, so that they're actually really bringing their full awareness and attention to that space, instead of really projecting it from the mind or thinking about it from the mind?
The way that we do it is by feeling it. So we use our kinesthetic senses to feel. And it's really simple. If you're sitting down, it's really hard not to feel that you're sitting on your butt. I mean, it's like, don't think about your butt, right? That's a hypnotherapy joke there. But when you sit down, how can you not be noticing that you're sitting on your butt? I mean, it's like almost impossible to put your mind anywhere else. If you realize I'm sitting on my butt, obviously, that's where your attention is going to go. And actually, I use some simple tools. A very fancy tool that I use is called a pen. And then I have people put it on the chair and have them sit on it. And then it's not really uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable enough that someone will really not be able to put their attention anywhere else because they're sitting on a pen. That pen is really kind of annoying when it's on when you're sitting on it. It's going to be poking at you a little bit, and it really keeps your attention there. And so a lot of times people are funny. They're like, it's so hard to keep my attention at my tailbone. I don't know how to do it. So I give them a pen, and they sit on it, and I'm like, so can you keep your attention there now? And they're like, oh, yeah, I can do that.
All right, I've never heard anybody use a pen that way, but okay, that's a great way to do it.
Well, you could use a crystal, you could use anything.
Yeah, you can sit on anything that's mildly uncomfortable, so that you can keep your awareness down there. All right, so perfect. So when you bring your awareness down to the pen or to, your bottom sitting on a chair, you bring your energy down, it kind of quietens everything in the mind, it brings you very present in your body. And then what do you do? Like, how do you know that you're in this field? What happens when you're in this state that's different than in any other state?
Well, a lot of people have difficulty with meditation. I get that all the time. People say, I have so much difficulty with meditation because I can't concentrate. Well, the reason that people can't concentrate is because your head is fast energy. So we get very frenetic energies when we put our attention in our head. This is the big experience that we have today of attention deficit disorder. It's not in my opinion, it's not a disorder as much as it is where people are putting their attention. You can't be focused if you're in your head. It's impossible. So people are having difficulty focusing in class. I remember the teachers would slam their hand on my desk, say, pay attention. I'm like, I thought I was. And it was very, I was like, okay, I'll put my attention in my head more because that's what else am I going to do? And I'm trying to pay attention and I'm not learning a thing because I'm so focused on trying to keep my attention in my head so I would at least pay attention to what they're saying. I'm watching the teacher go back and forth. I'm really trying to get it so linearly it doesn't work, right? So, but this is, kids in school, if they're being yelled at and told you've got to pay attention, well, okay, I'll do that. But they won't necessarily learn anything, but they might be paying attention. So putting your awareness lower in the body is slow energy. You slow everything down. So it becomes very easy to go into a relaxation of the body. When you put your awareness at the base of the spine, it just brings you right into a relaxation, and it feels good. And in just a few minutes, you'll start to notice that actually a lot of things happen when you put your attention at the base of your spine. First of all, your aura opens a little. And when your aura opens a little, that means you have more space. Your energy frequency raises a bit, and it goes higher so that you're feeling a little happier and more confident, just simply by putting your awareness at the base of your spine. All this happens. When you put your awareness at the base of your spine, your body relaxes, and you can actually soften it. Because right now, check and see, what are you holding on to? Because we're all holding on a little bit. You might be holding on in your stomach or holding on in your leg or holding on somewhere else, but you'll notice that we're holding on a little bit. And when you put your attention at the base of your spine, you can let go.
Yes.
And when you're in that place, now you have the ability to be what's called in the body. So, for example, either you're in your body or you're out of your body. Being in your body means that your higher self, which is the energy that is you, is actually inside, encapsulated into the body.
So you're embodying your higher self.
You're embodying, that's a great way to say it. You're embodying your higher self. And that's how it should be, but that's not how it is for most people, because most people are in protection. And when they're in protection, you're at a lower frequency. Now, your higher self is not with that game. Your higher self does not like low frequency. So when you hit a low frequency, your higher self jumps out of your body and it floats above your head. And it's up there, not within you. It's no longer encapsulated in your body. So you feel disconnected. This is where depression, where anxiety, where other issues like this show up, because we feel like we're alone. And for many years, I personally felt like I was alone because I wasn't in my body either. I mean, today I am, but I wasn't then. And I'm like, wow, I left myself. No one else is around. Wow, what am I going to do? I was kind of going crazy with my energy because I wasn't even there for myself because I read that book and it didn't tell me how to be present.
Right. So can you take us through an experience of this so that we can actually feel intentionally or knowing consciously what it feels like to be embodying our higher self?
Absolutely.
All right.
So I'm going to take you through an experience called the falling leaf. And it sounds very dramatic. And so you could be sitting down while you do it. The falling leaf is, or standing up, it doesn't matter, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Laying down won't be as easy, though, so it'll be easier if you're sitting up. So you're sitting up, and when I'm sitting up, I like to make myself as tall as possible when I'm sitting. But not uncomfortably, right? You just want to get into the physiology of good feelings. And that usually is shoulders are back and down, and your chest, instead of, caved in, is up a little bit more than normal. Just sort of that little bit of tension in that chest there. I just like to be in that place. Doesn't mean you have to. It will work either way. But it feels nice just to be in that nice, elongated place, almost like, you're a puppet and then there's a string on your head and they're just pulling it up at the top a little bit and you feel that little bit of energy there. And when you're just sitting tall and enjoying that experience of being, just imagine a beautiful leaf floating just above the top of your head. Yeah, that's it. And notice how that leaf just turns and falls right into the crown, right into the top of your head, going down. As it drifts down, it floats just like a leaf does behind your eyes. Breathing is good, passing your throat, going past your heart. Let it just float down. Just watch it as it floats all the way down, passing your upper stomach and your lower stomach, and let it land right there at the base of your spine, the tailbone. And while you're there, keep your attention right on the leaf at the base of your spine, and just notice what your body feels like when your attention is at the base of your spine where the leaf is, and take in a few deep breaths. I like to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. It's a nice way to breathe, and it balances your body. Just breathing and relaxing right into the base of your spine. And feel how good it feels to be connecting to the base of your spine. And just take your arms and push out with your arms so that you can open up space all around you. Can you open up space in front of you and then in back of you, to the left of you and to the right of you? Just open up the space so that you feel like you're open, and keep your attention right there at the leaf at the base of your spine at the same time. Feel the openness and the groundedness. Feel the connection. And as you're breathing, notice who you are differently from this space. Notice that your mind is not rushing anymore. It's slowed down because your energy and your attention is at the base of your spine. And if you want to slow down your thoughts even more, just let your attention go down your legs. Breathing is good. And let it go and past your knees and down your legs to your ankles and right to your feet. And notice how that feels as we go deeper down. Notice how the mind calms down. Notice that you're going into a place of beingness, and the mind is just relaxing. And without you even realizing it, you're meditating, right? You're meditating in the moment, just by being within yourself. And basically, as you engage this exercise, your higher self will pop back in because your energy frequency will go higher just simply by putting your awareness at the base of your spine. And your aura opens more. Now that you have the space, the higher self comes back into the body. And then how you know that you're really there is your voice changes. Your voice gets more resonant and deeper and more relaxed. So if you say something, you'll notice if you're fully in your body yet or not.
I know when I used to do hypnotherapy that because I would get into some altered state as I was working with somebody, that because normally, as we were chatting, my voice tends to be faster and excited and all that because it's so much fun talking to you. But when I was working with people and I would really get into this state, I would, like the octave drops, the resonance rises, it slows down, and it becomes a much more, resonant, I guess would be the term. So yeah, absolutely, that makes total sense. Wow, feels so good. I don't want to come back out. So if somebody's in here,
we could have a party with ourselves.
we could. So you could actually stay here and just meditate here for as long as you would feel like. But do you do anything to help rise energy back out, or do you just, invite people to open their eyes and sort of hold this state as much as or as long as they can while still being attentive to other parts of their life?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you get into this place and it feels so good and you don't want to leave because you've come home,
Yes.
it feels so good. When you're in this place that feels so good, you can open your eyes and stay in that place and start doing things. But, if you do something, if the more active you become, the more you go back into your head not because you need that fast energy to do it, because it's your habit. Mm-hmm. We all fall back into that habit. So if we're doing something more busy, we're going to be going into, if we have to think of something, we're going to go right into our mind again. So keeping your awareness at the base of your spine when it's slow is very easy to do. But with my advanced students, they learn how to actually keep their awareness at the base of their spine, even when they're doing fast things like playing tennis or, running or hiking or something. They're staying in their body even when they're doing fast activities, not just slow ones.
When you can do interim things, because I don't do any of those things. But I do this when I walk, because I really like to walk. And I also do it like when I'm cooking dinner, anytime I notice my energy coming back to my head, because for me, it makes my head feel very full when my energy and awareness is in my head. And I've learned that that's not my best state, and it's not the state I enjoy being in, and it's not the state that I get the most out of life in. So whenever I notice that I'm in my head, I'm in my thoughts, I'm in my eyes, it's a big place my energy lands, is right in my eyes, I'll drop it back down as low in my body as I can. And if people are listening to this and want to try to incorporate it into their life, using that when you're doing things like taking a walk or driving or something that you can be kind of in that split focus a little bit and really notice where your attention is and continue to bring it down where you're not going to chop your finger off or run into something, then that's a way to begin to cultivate that. I also do it when I'm falling asleep at night, because it really pulls me out of my head and into my body and allows me to fall asleep much more easily and get deeper sleep. So I really like it for that.
Absolutely. Once you allow yourself to feel how good it feels to be at the base of your spine, it gets easier to do because you like it, because it feels good. We tend to do things that we enjoy. So a really good way to practice is watching TV. Because if you're watching TV anyway, and you might as well put your awareness at the base of your spine while you're watching TV, and notice when you pop up and just bring it down again, and then keep playing that game while you're watching TV, you'll start to, because you'll do that for long periods of time, you'll be able to get an understanding of when you're in your head and when you're in your body. Because if you don't know whether you're in one place or the other, then you can't fix it, right? You can't change the experience. So the best way to learn that is to be in your body as much as you can and know that you're there by doing that slow exercise, the falling leaf that I just did with you. And then, recognizing, oh, yep, I'm in my head. I get what that feels like, what it feels like to be in my head. Oh, I get what it feels like to be in my body. And once you understand the two, then it gets much easier to be able to adjust that, to be in your body more often.
Yes. Yeah, it really is just practice and accustoming yourself to the feeling, because oftentimes you get in your body and it feels good, but it feels weird because you're not used to it. And so, for me, it took a while to begin to enjoy or begin to feel uncomfortable in my head, so that when I would really notice when I was there and then bring myself back into my body. So yeah, it's just a habit, but it's a great habit to get into.
Yeah, and the same thing happens with being in the body. When we're born, we're in the body. And then, of course, our parents like the word no. So we tend to get a lot of no's. No, don't put your hand in the fire. No, don't touch the stove. No, don't sit there. No, don't do this. Don't do that, right? And so we get a lot of no's. And in that, we start getting into our head, because now we got to think about this. Uh-oh, I don't want to be in trouble, so we got to think. Yeah. Okay, what am I going to do? So our mind is programmed to be in our head. And we think that's a safe place to be. We many times associate being in our head with safety, which is actually not the safest place to be. No. And so when people put their awareness at the base of their spine, some people feel fearful because they've been conditioned to believe that being in the body is fear. And so they start to react. Oh my God, I can't be in my body. This is what happens if something bad happens. I won't be able to notice it. You will, but you think you won't because of conditioning.
All right. Well, this was just fabulous. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation too. And we're going to talk about some other really juicy stuff. So I want people to know that you can find all of Joshua's links on conversationsfromtheedge.net. Just scroll down, find his bio area. There's all these links down there. But can you explain what they'll find when they go there? What are people going to see?
Well, one of the things that they're going to find is a program called I Am Limitless. And I made I Am Limitless because right now in our world today, we need this experience of feeling limitless and even being limitless. A lot of times we feel like the opposite of being limitless. We feel really limited, So this program teaches you how to become the limitless you by raising your energy frequency and allowing yourself to be stronger and more in your body and more powerful. There's 10 easy steps to rocking your limitless you. So step one is to understand how to be limitless. If you don't understand how to get into that energy and be there, then you're not going to be limitless. So if you understand how to be limitless, you can enliven the power within yourself, because we feel like we're powerless sometimes. So instead of feeling that, you can feel powerful by using the I am presence. If you felt that calm sense of goodness when we were in our body just a little bit ago, that's the kind of I am presence we're going to be using in this program and then beyond. Quantum dimensional shifting is step 2. We're going to get into alignment with the quantum and morphic fields for fast manifestation, for easier, more joyful and inspiring life. We are many times out of alignment in our world. And we were talking about it earlier today when I said you miss the bus and then it doesn't go well after that. Yeah, that's being out of alignment.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, whoa. And then once you're in that pattern of being out of alignment, it may not leave. It might be out of alignment in lots of things in your life all the time. So quantum dimensional shifting gets you back into alignment, into the joy, into the goodness, into that flow where things just manifest, things just happen, and then you start to feel more confident because you're in the alignment of what you're choosing to have in your life. Step 3 is to create instant quantum shifts. Now, that's a powerful thing because we can create an instant shift and it will change something right now. Quantum has no time limits here. It's all, there is no time in the quantum field. So we get to heighten our energy and jump into every moment with powerful strength and possibility to easily achieve fast, life-altering results. You can actually make a change. You can eliminate fear. You can eliminate anxiety. You can eliminate a problem that's happening in your life right now. You can balance yourself so that you feel good moving forward. There's so many things you can do. So creating a quantum shift for yourself, knowing how to do that in any given moment is key. Then in step number 4, you're going to learn that anything is possible. You know, in our Newtonian model, that's not true. Anything is impossible in the Newtonian model. But in the quantum model, anything is really possible. And that's where the power comes in. When you realize that anything is possible, that you can create a shift, you can create a change, you can get into an energy that supports you all the time. Then you're going to learn in step number 5 how to become unstoppable. It's so powerful to realize that we can be unstoppable. You can move forward even when in the past you did not. Being unstoppable allows you to keep moving forward. Step number 6 is the instant I am transformer. And we use the I am presence to help you shift at the levels of purpose, spirituality, and identity. I think that's the biggest thing about being limitless is when you are in your body, authentic and grounded, there is no fear. And that's what this program teaches you how to do. And when there is no fear, you don't have anything stopping you. You can always move forward. Step number 7 is how to focus your energy to create anything. We talked earlier about focus and how focus is not in your head. That's the opposite of focus. So how to focus your energy to create anything. When you know how to focus better, you can create whatever you choose. Focus is key. Step number 8 is from possibility to reality. When you realize that we can take a possibility and we can turn that into what's actually happening in our life, that becomes a powerful situation. I mean, if you don't have as much money as you'd like and you'd like more money, you could take that possibility of having more money and have more money. Or if you're having anxiety and you have the possibility of being anxiety-free, you could be anxiety-free. The key is to understand how that happens. What is the process to go from the possibility to move into your reality? And that's what step number 8 is going to teach you. Step number 9 is one of my favorites. It's called the love bath. Woo! And you're bathing in love energy. And I don't know if you've ever been in love before where you feel those feelings. You know what I'm talking about. Those feelings that make you feel so good and you're like, ooh, it feels just awesome. Yeah, imagine just being bathed in that energy. When you're in that love energy, you're actually aligning yourself with that frequency. And you're raising your frequency into the energy of love. And when you're in that frequency, not only do you attract more love in your life, but you also attract more things at that frequency. Love frequency is pretty high frequency. It's not the highest frequency, but it's pretty high. And at that frequency, you can start making really big growth spurts in your evolution, in your life. Things will happen faster than before by quite a bit. And then number 10 is quantum evolution. And basically I talked to you about how to evolve yourself. See, one release, we call that a transformation. Many releases over and over is an evolution. You're no longer that same person. Your identity has shifted. You're no longer that person who you were before. In other words, you become a person who no longer requires the problem. There are 3 things about this program that are really powerful. First of all, there's a paradigm shift. And what that means is this program offers a different kind of working. We're not going to work in a Newtonian model, but we're going to work in a quantum model. So the whole program is operating at a much higher level. And there's an energy shift. We don't work at the lower levels of change like strategy. We work at higher levels of change. As I said before, we're going to work from your beingness. You're going to work from your identity. We're going to work from your purpose. We're going to work from your spirituality. Those places create deep and profound change. And the last thing is a transformation shift. Unlike most programs, quantum energy transformation has the ability to work on more than one aspect at a time. So I know that you've worked with many different modalities, and many of us have, and most of those modalities only work on one thing at a time. It only lets you work on this thought or that feeling or this feeling one at a time. Well, quantum energy transformation is much more powerful than that. You can work on many things all at the same time. The power is you don't have to pick and choose, well, I'd like to work on this or I'd like to work on that. You can say, well, my body's intelligence will allow me to work on it all and transform it all.
Yeah, because ultimately everything is connected.
Everything is connected and everything is energy, right? So
yeah,
it's very powerful.
All right, so you can find that program on conversationsfromtheedge.net. You can also probably find a free gift on there, and I know because I already have that on there, so I know that's available. And then also your Facebook group. And is there anything else that any other way that people can track you or find you that would be helpful? Oh, your website will be on there, which is full of a ton of information, including emotionally free TV and all kinds of helpful things.
Absolutely. And my book comes with the I Am Limitless program for free. So yeah, so that's pretty cool.
It really is. That's a great book. All right. Well, it was wonderful talking with you, Joshua. I am looking forward to our next conversation. This is your host, Kristine Madera. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation from the edge of consciousness. You can find all our conversations at conversationsfromtheedge.net. You'll also find links to schedule a private conversation with me or any of my friends, as well as tools to help you expand your own consciousness and explore what's possible for you outside the boundaries of your current perceptions. Feel free to use this podcast to start your own conversation by sharing it with friends, on social media, in your blog, or even in your own podcast. And as always, live the adventure of pushing your own edge. It's the most amazing adventure there is.